Only 33.1% of the chips managed to stay intact. 67% of all the Doritos we bought were broken by the time that the bag was opened. This means that while a typical
16% more than 50.
Roughly 133.
Hey guys, welcome back to a brand new video. Today I will be reacting to Food Theory. Are Doritos a ripoff? Depends on the thumbnail, you know. It said 84%. I know I saw this meme where it said that Pringles, you know Pringles, right? That Pringles are the only company that don't sell air. Cause like, you know, like bags, they have like this much air. I mean, yeah, you probably get it. There's air. So I don't think it's more like a 60-40, like 60% Doritos or food and 40% air. So I guess it's kind of a ripoff, but I'm not sure. It's kind of weird. And yeah, let's just start the video, the reaction.
Don't fall for it again, Matt. Not again. Sure, that bag of Doritos looks like a deal there on the shelf, but you know what's gonna happen. You're gonna open it up, and it'll be 84%
it's not
air and
84%
chip. Happens every time. Don't let them get the better of you with some cheap psychological trick, Matt. Don't let them hurt you again. Have some willpower. Do not buy those Doritos.
Then he's gonna buy it.
No!
I don't care.
Oh, Matthew, tell me you didn't just eat an entire bag of Doritos by yourself.
Relax, Steph. It was 84% air. They all were.
That's sad, I guess. The intro is so cool.
Internet, welcome to Food Theory, the show that's here to crunch the numbers that matter most to your stomach. Friends, of all the first world problems out there, there are exactly two that I believe should be upgraded to the rank of actual problem. One being that pizza boxes are too large to fit
that's why you don't put the whole
refrigerator,
box
and the
inside.
other being the outrageous amount of air inside
That's also
of
a
chip
big
bags.
problem.
And yes, it is indeed outrageous. We went ahead and tested it. Busted out old water displacement method and everything. We found the average volume of sealed Doritos bags to be 3,274 milliliters. Meanwhile, the average volume of the chips with all the air vacuumed out was just 525 milliliters. That means
it is 84%. Are you serious?
What is inside that bag is air. 80%.
I thought it was like 60%.
Wrap your head around that one, friends. That is the equivalent of having a microwave delivered in a refrigerator box. Like, why? Why are chip manufacturers so incredibly wasteful with their packaging? Why on earth would they willingly pay for more packaging material
They're wasting so much.
The cost of shipping air all across the world? They could easily ship the same amount of Doritos in a bag, half the volume, so why don't they simply do that and pay for half as many trucks? Surely there is a reason for this that makes dollars and cents, which leads me to wonder, are chip manufacturers using deceptive packaging to trick consumers into paying more for less? Like how those seemingly huge chocolate bunnies you get around Easter always wind up being hollow, or how the pepperonis on frozen pizza always seem to be denser when the packaging is clear. On the other hand, maybe Frito-Lay actually has a good reason for selling us bags filled with mostly air. And if so, I am all ears. Hollow, chocolatey ears.
That bunny has some big ears.
Answers, and that's why today Food Theory is rolling up its sleeves, getting its hands dusty, and carrying out an experiment that'll answer this chippy little question once and for all. Are Doritos bags fair, or are they full of hot air? Not to go all clickbait on you, but the answers are actually really surprising. Now, an important thing to note about the quote-unquote air inside of a Doritos bag is that it's not actually air. It's truly nitrogen gas. Now, if that sounds like a dangerous substance for your food basket, don't worry, it's fine. In fact, 78% of the air filling your lungs at this very moment is nitrogen gas. Oxygen only makes up about 21% of the air that we breathe. Why fill chip bags with nitrogen gas, you ask? Because chips are actually able to stay fresh longer in an oxygen-free environment. O2 molecules like to create chemical reactions with all sorts
aren't
of
ripping
different
off? I don't
cartons, and
know.
these reactions are a big reason why food tends to go stale. N2 molecules, on the other hand, are more stable. They don't tend to react with other molecules nearly as easily. Plus, aerobic bacteria can't survive without oxygen, so that's a little perk of the job. Long story short, nitrogen gas plays a super important role inside your Doritos bag. But still gotta wonder, does there really need to be so much of the gas in there? Sure, chips may need an
I don't think they need that much.
environment to stay
You can
fresh,
shrink
but
like
why
a...
couldn't nitrogen gas fill a smaller bag with the same number of Doritos inside? Appropriately sized bags can be oxygen-free too, you know. Which brings us to the other role that nitrogen gas plays inside our Doritos bag, slack fill. Ever notice how your chip bag is filled almost all the way, but it's never completely inflated and stretched out like a balloon? This is actually by design, and it allows the nitrogen gas to exist as a relaxed cushion around your chips, protecting them from damage during transport. Leaving the bag slightly underfilled prevents the bag from popping too easily, especially when it's traveling at high altitudes where atmospheric pressures diminish. Now, I can definitely understand why you wouldn't want your bag of Doritos to pop before it gets to the store, and I also get how a pocket of air could help protect Doritos if something were to impact the bag, but what about if the bag gets shaken? Having empty space surrounding the Doritos seems to fly in the face of everything we know about safety equipment like, I don't know, seat belts, which are designed to keep passengers snug in place so they don't rattle around inside the vehicle during an accident. Maybe I'm just grasping at straws here, but I'm just not convinced that Frito-Lay would inject that much air into their bags just to make sure that the chips don't break. For one thing, nitrogen gas doesn't seem to be doing a heck of a great job protecting the chips from breaking. I sent field researcher Luke out to examine 3 dozen 9 1/4 ounce bags.
That is a lot of chips.
By weighing hundreds of full unbroken Doritos, we were able to determine that an average Dorito chip weighs 1.81 grams. The contents of a single Doritos bag average 241.5 grams, a bit less than the 262.5 that they claim on the packaging, meaning that our Doritos bags would have held an average of 133 full unbroken chips when they were prepared at the factory. But by the time they made their journey from the factory to the grocery store and eventually to Luke's house, only 33.1% of the chips managed to stay intact. 67% of all the Doritos we bought were broken by the time that the bag was opened. This means that while a typical
16% more than 50.
Roughly 133 unbroken chips inside, only about 33 of them arrive at the destination fully intact. 100 break along the way. And look, I get that broken Doritos aren't the worst thing in the world. It's not like we're talking about fine china or a PS5 that gets rendered useless when it breaks in half. In my experience, broken Doritos are just as delicious as unbroken
I mean, they're
Doritos.
small.
Still, 67%
you don't even eat the small pieces. You eat the big pieces.
Casualty rate for a product that supposedly fills its bags with a special gas in order to prevent that very thing from happening. I just can't escape the feeling that at least part of Doritos' goal here is to trick consumers with oversized, deceptive packaging. And so, we designed an experiment to test whether all that extra airspace in the bag really helps, or if a different amount of gas might actually be more effective at keeping your Doritos intact. We began by gathering every single unbroken Dorito from all 36 nacho cheesier bags. It took a while, but luckily there were plenty of broken Doritos available to munch on whenever hunger struck. We then took 133 of those unbroken Doritos chips and sealed them away inside an empty bag. This, theoretically, is how a typical 9 1/4 ounce Doritos bag
but it has oxygen.
Before any of
and you said it doesn't need oxygen. If it has oxygen,
we called this one the average bag, since it was filled with the average number of Doritos. We made 2 other average bags, each with 133 unbroken Doritos inside, then sealed all 3 bags with 2,749 milliliters of atmospheric air, giving all of the bags the average 3,274 milliliters of total volume and the typical 84% air to 16% Dorito ratio. Yes, we took this way too seriously, but if we don't take it that seriously, who else will? And yes, just so we get everything on the table, we used atmospheric air instead of nitrogen gas. But we decided not to worry about it since keeping the Doritos fresh isn't a concern for this particular experiment. We then prepared a second set of Doritos
about it
bags
being
much
fresh.
the same way, except we only put about half the normal number of Doritos inside, 67. We called this set of 3 bags the fewer chips bags since, pretty self-explanatory, they only had 8% Doritos by volume. Finally, we prepared 3 more chips bags, which contained, go figure, more than the usual amount of Doritos inside. Originally, we'd planned to put 266 unbroken Doritos, or twice the average amount.
How many bags did you buy?
Bags, but we ran
like
into
13 dozen, I think you said.
That's right. Despite the fact that 266 Doritos takes up way less volume than the bag's capacity of 3,274
It's like 100 something bags.
They were so awkwardly shaped that
200,
they
I think,
couldn't
bags.
all fit inside without being broken first. See, also, our film theory episode on the coins in Scrooge McDuck's money bin for a deeper dive on this exact concept. And why yes, we do parody the DuckTales theme song in that episode. Thanks for asking. Anyway, in the end, we had to reduce the number of Doritos in our More Chips bags down to 163. That was the absolute maximum number of intact Doritos we were able to fit inside each bag. And to even get that many in, we had to carefully line them up side by side tightly against each other. Our More Chips
I don't think the
bags
company's gonna do that.
20% Doritos by volume, but gotta admit, it was not easy. And honestly, the whole process of refilling the Doritos bags made us realize something really important. 133 unbroken Doritos is basically the maximum number of chips that can fit loosely in a Doritos bag. It was actually pretty tough to get the bag closed with 133 loose chips inside in the first place. We had to shake it down a fair bit to make it work. Sure, there's a lot of airspace inside the bag by the time it travels to the store and makes it to the grocery cart, but that's because a lot of chips have broken by that point. Look at it from the perspective of the worker at the Frito-Lay factory. Every bag they ship out from the factory is probably filled to the brim with perfect unbroken Doritos. So it was at this point in the experiment that we first felt a twinge of guilt about making this episode in the first place. Somewhere in the back of our minds, we began to understand that Doritos wasn't actually trying to trick us with deceptive packaging. They were actually just doing their very best to get the delicious tortilla chips out to the people of the world. Nevertheless, we choked back these sentimental feelings because science doesn't care about your feelings, and we pressed onward. Now it was time for the fun part, putting our experimental Doritos bags through a series of tortures. Alright, it was just like 2 tortures. Also, they weren't really tortures. We just kind of recreated the jostling and squeezing a real Doritos bag might encounter during the shipping process. After some trial and error, we developed 2 tests that, when carried out back-to-back, inflicted the perfect amount of damage. Since the real-life Doritos bags from the store averaged a breakage rate of 67%, we tweaked our Dorito tortures such that they broke approximately 67% of the Doritos in the average bags as well. First Dorito torture, pressing. We gently laid a 25-pound or 11.4 kilogram
is it
weight
gonna
on
break
top
all
of
of
each
them?
Doritos
I don't think
bag
so.
for 10 seconds. This low-impact, high-pressure stress test was designed to assess how well each bag's air cushion protected the Doritos inside. Judging by the amount of crunching we heard from each bag, it's fair to say that the fewer chips bag, which contained the fewest Doritos and the largest air cushion, had fewer Doritos broken during the test than the other fuller bags did. The second torture, highly scientific test, was to drop the bags onto the ground from a height of 8 feet. This sudden high-impact trial was meant to test the seatbelt theory, that Doritos packed tightly into a bag
barely
are
any are
better
gonna
protected
break,
than
just
loosely
barely
packed
any.
Doritos. Finally, after all bags were dropped, it was time to open them up and assess the damage. First up were the More Chips bags, and these guys had a rough time under that 25-pound weight. I wasn't expecting a whole lot of Doritos to be intact, and I was certainly right to think that. Of the 163 Doritos we packed inside each More Chips bag, only 33 of the chips made it out unscathed on average, for a breakage rate of nearly 80%. Next, we opened up the average bags. By design, 33.3 chips per bag made it through our Doritos tortures unbroken, for a breakage rate of about 75%. So the average bag clearly outperformed the More Chips bag. Not only was its breakage rate lower, but the average bag actually produced more unbroken chips overall, which is surprising since it had fewer chips to work with. Last but certainly not least, we had our
that one's gonna win.
bags. Well, I guess they actually are least since they have the fewest number of chips, but whatever. I still think they're pretty great. Anyway, an average of 14.7 of every 67
where do you get the
0.7? The fewer chips bag, a
and the
breakage rate
0.3
of 78.1%. That's right, theorists. The average bag, patterned after the way Frito-Lay actually fills their bags in real life, performed the best, hands down. Packing more Doritos into the bag resulted in a higher percentage of broken Doritos. Placing fewer Doritos
but you can
into the
always
bag
like
resulted
add
in a
like
higher
2 or
breakage
3
rate as
more.
well. The kicker is that the average bags produced an average of 33.3 unbroken chips per bag, the highest number of intact chips of any of our 3 competitors, period. So at this point, I'm busting out the couch and the sad music because this YouTuber owes Doritos an apology. Since the dawn of the internet, chip makers have been getting dragged for putting so much air into their chip bags, and I guess I got wrapped up in it all. Yeah, I'll admit it, when I first set out to make this video, I figured it would wind up being a bit of a takedown episode that showed how Doritos packaging is deceptive and doesn't actually help protect the chips. But the numbers are in, and Doritos straight up slapped me down on both fronts. Today's experiment demonstrates that the slack fill approach can't keep most Doritos in the bag from breaking, but the 84% gas to 16% chip ratio does cut down on chip breakage more than other fill ratios. So hats off to you, Doritos. I'm sorry that I ever doubted you.
Okay, I was not expecting that. I thought Doritos was actually, selling air. I guess not. I mean, not selling air, they're still selling chips, but it has air inside. Thank you guys for watching. like, subscribe, and comment what you want me to react to next.